Hey there guys, here I am with another tutorial after a very long time. This is a little preview of what I'm going to show you. This is a 3D map editor, made with GameMaker Studio of course, and I'm going to be showing you how to make this. First of all, I'll show you what you can do. You can delete these objects and add some different type of floors, on the floor. And you can test it and see there's this different floor texture now, with some very bad fake reflections on it. So what else can you do? You can add some walls, which is gonna take me a long time, as these aren't very well made. Like, whatever, they work. Alright. Just a few more. There we go. And this is what it looks like. There's these walls on the on the sides of the map. And as you can see, they will kind of jerk out when you just delete the floors around them, which means, and I'll tell you why that is. It's because they will face the nearest floor to them. So now you'll see they are normal again as I added a grass floor next to them. But basically, when there's no floor around them, they'll look at a different floor that's pretty far away from them. So this is what that looks like, a little bit of grass. And if you want to add a different texture, you can also do that. You can also move the spawn. So if I, for example, start right there, you can also drag these objects around if you don't like their position. If you, for example, just add the spawn right here, you'll spawn right here. I'll give you a better look. If you spawn in the grass, you'll spawn in the grass, of course. If you spawn on the other side of the map, you will spawn here. That's what it looks like. You can also extend the length of the map by simply deleting a bit of the map with the right mouse button and then adding some floors around it. And then adding a whole new level on the side. I can add some walls to it again, and I'll show you what that looks like. We're almost done. Alright. Show you what that looks like. Here we are in our game again, and now the map is a little longer. So that's basically how that works. This is a post-mortem video, so I'll be cutting it off right now. I'll see you in GameMaker Studio. Hey there guys, how are you all doing? I'm back with another tutorial after a very long period of silence. I want to apologize for that. I've been studying for my exams because I failed them last year and I don't want to fail again, so that's why I've been gone. Well, this is going to be a very short tutorial about a 3D map editor that I've created as was requested in the comments below. If you have any requests, please leave them in the comments below right now. So let's get started. Sprites as usual, here they are, all of them. Little isometric icon stuff, some other type of sprites. I really don't know what to say about these. Well, that's it. I don't have any sounds anymore. I don't use this default sound configuration anymore. I use the Audio Create Streamline from now on. It's way better, and I think you should use it too. Let's see. We got some wood here, texture of wood, and some tiles that look like this, and a few other textures which is basically grass, little blades of grass, and just a test wall that looks like this. It's just a Yo-Yo Games logo. Please don't sue me, Yo-Yo Games. I'm such a loyal customer. Please don't do it. And I have a bunch of grid textures which aren't very important at all. You can just you might as well just remove them because you don't really need them. Let's look at the scripts. I'm using this one again, the GMFT init DLL stuff, and I've heard that it caused a bit of trouble with some of you guys. I don't know what it is. It works fine for me. It's basically a mip mapping DLL which filters some of your textures to make it look much better. No more grainy textures anymore. But it was just kind of annoying to see. For you guys though, I don't mind. I just want to make some good tutorials for you guys, but it was very frustrating to me to see that some of you guys were having trouble with this, which is a shame. So I'll be uploading two of these editable files, one with this little GMFT init thing, and one without it, so it works for most of you, probably all of you. Some mouse look, and this nice shaded texture thing, which isn't important at all. And I'm using two fonts that look like this. I'm showing you way too much of this. Let's get on with the real tutorial then. This is a script for the initial, for initializing the 3D in GameMaker, the 3D start, and the set lighting, all that stuff. But this tutorial is mainly about 3D map editors, or basically the 3D map editor that I've created. So I really want to get to that one instead of just talking about all the technical 3D stuff that I am talking about in every tutorial. So let's just cut to the chase right now and go to the map editor. Enable and disable 3D functions. If you are using the editor, then if you're not using the editor, then D3D start will be used again. When you are using the editor is in 2D but not in a different room. It's basically in the same room. It will just stop being in 3D because, yeah, you know, if you don't do this, the game will still think you'll be using 3D and you won't be seeing any two-dimensional sprites. So that's why I've deactivated it. Move the mouse while in editor mode. When you hold the middle mouse button, you can move around like you saw in the beginning of the video, which was a little post-mortem video. Just basically do this with the middle mouse button to move around. And mouse look again. Well, mouse look is only being used when you're not using the editor, or when you are. It just basically executes this script. So you'll be using mouse look. And some very simple controls. These are very bad. Don't use them. Just use your own. That's my advice because these are very bad. You cannot strafe. You can only go forward and backwards. That's all. Alright, so the projection here, if you're not using the editor, then this 3D projection will be, well, this 3D thing will be projected on screen. And, come on, I'll be using this one. Boom. This is what will be executed when you're not using the editor. Draw GUI, which is basically showing you the frames per second and the little command that you're seeing. Escape ends the game, and F1 switches to the editor, which is more interesting. This basically means if you're using the editor and you're pressing F1, you will stop using the editor and vice versa. If you're using the editor, you will not using the editor anymore. Alright, that's the first one done. Let's go to the floors. I'll be showing you one of the floors, not the rest of these, because the same goes for every single one of these. It will be loading a model here, file floor 256, basically the size of the floor. And if you want to drag this thing, it's set to false by default, meaning that you won't be dragging all the models at the same time, which would look really strange, and you wouldn't be able to place anything in the map. Also, the floors are aligned to a grid of 128 by 128, which means that it will not be using, it will be only using grid parts that are a power of, no, it's not a power of, what would you call it? 128, 256, 384, 512, etc. We'll only be using numbers like these. Ah, man, still got to recover from those exams, they were long. Alright, here we go. This is when you're using the editor, which means that you can move these things around, place them, and other cool stuff like that. So if it's meeting the mouse, and there is no par place, which we'll get to later, and global touch spawn is false, and global icon is false as well, then you will see this little command, wooden floor 01. This little line of text will show up in the top left of your screen when you're hovering above this this thing, and it will turn green like it should, and when it's not meeting, it will just go back to white. So when you're pressing the left mouse button and you're not touching any of these and all these variables are false, then you'll be able to drag it, and global CND will be set to true, which means that you won't be able to drag multiple objects at the same time, because like I said, it will just follow the same X values of the mouse X. It will just follow mouse X and mouse Y, which will just stack all these models up, which will look very weird and will cause a lot of C fighting. Hello? No, I don't want that. Thank you very much. You probably didn't understand a word of that. Unless you're Dutch, of course. If you're releasing the left mouse button, you will stop dragging it, and CND will be set to false, which means you can drag another object after this. So if drag is true, it will be set to mouse X, mouse Y. Well, there's one important thing about this. You may have noticed it already, and it's gone. Where is it? Alright, that was weird. This here, aligned to a grid, will be set after the script is executed. If you set it before this, then it will just be following the mouse coordinates instead of aligning to the grid, which is why I place it after the little script. It will not give you an error or anything. It will just, follow the exact mouse position. And if you're pressing the right mouse button, you will be destroying this instance, basically deleting it if you don't need it anymore. Right, the wall is just a little different. The only difference between a wall and floor is that it's vertical, and it has actual height. And another difference is that it faces the nearest floor to its own position, which means that you won't be having to rotate all these models individually. It will just face the nearest floor, which is basically what walls do in real life. And here's the placing things. I'm not going to be showing you these ones again. It's basically the same story. This is still here. I don't know why it is. You can delete it. You don't need it. I don't need it. Nobody does. Let's get the step event. It's also aligned to a grid of 128. Left click to place wooden floor 1, which means that when you release this left mouse button instead of pressing it, this allows you to more carefully place these things, because if you just press it, it will just immediately put one there, and now you can just hesitate a little bit. So if you're not meeting another floor, which basically means you can't go for the Z fighting, you cannot place floors on top of floors unless, of course, it's a floor above it. It's like a second floor or something. You'll be able to do that later, of course. So when this place is free and you press the left mouse button, you'll be adding a floor to it. And then this little sound will play. It's just a very bad sound that I've made for another game of mine, but you can have it because I can make another one whenever I want. And of course, if drag is true, X mouse X, Y is mouse Y, and when you right click this one, because as you can see, when you press, shut up, please. When you press the left mouse button, it won't destroy itself, because I commented it out. It will only get destroyed when you press the right mouse button on it, which means that you can just go click, 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 wherever you want until you press the right mouse button, which is very nice, of course. When you press F1, this instance will be deactivated, otherwise you can still drag this thing around in 2D, or in 3D, I'm sorry, and it will just look strange. You'll be seeing this flat floor moving whenever you're moving the mouse around, which is weird. And then eventually the draw of this model is just normal sprite. Let's see, this is the spawn of the player. You can also move this one around, be initialized like this. This here is not important at all. It's just for a little graphical effect that you can just delete, rotate. This is all very unimportant. The only thing that really matters about this is the click and drag, which is basically the same story as previous ones, and the fact that the player will follow this position when you press F1. So, as you can see, you'll go to the spawn when you press F1. That's all that thing does. You can move it around, and whenever you press F1, the player will go to that spawn location. So that's all it really does. Of course, we still have the icons left. Initialize itself, sample is 0, which means, how do you say it? It has 2 sub-images, and this is the first sample, this is the second sample. So when you hover your mouse over it, you will see this little image, and when the mouse leaves it, or when you're just not hovering above it, it will show this image. Draw icon placement, icon wood, which is this one again, and this is where it goes. I'll show you right now, before I forget. I've placed them right here. This is because, as you can see, the view is about this size, and it will just be at its own X location plus the view X view plus the view Y view, which means it will be following the exact position of the camera. As of now, I don't really know more efficient way of doing this. There probably is, maybe using for loops or something, I don't know. But this is how I did it. It works, I guess. And if you want to add some more new icons to it, you can just press something right here or something. I don't know. It's very simple to add. So let's go to the selection. When you're hovering about it, add wooden floor, which means, of course, it will be adding a wooden floor when you press it. So when global CND is false, which is again what I said, you won't be able to add multiple objects at the same time, as it will cause C-fighting. It will create object floor place. Audio play sound is placed at sound again, and it draws the sprite again. Alright, and there's of course par place, which means that if one of these objects exists, one of these children, you won't be able to do anything else. Let's see, you can't select objects that are already placed, like this one. This one has already been placed, and this one is yet to be placed. And this, of course, is its parent, parent place. So you won't be able to drag this one around when one of these exists. So well, that was basically it for this tutorial. That's all I really wanted to explain to you. The backgrounds aren't really important, really. You can just, if you want to take a look at them, that's cool, of course. I will leave a download link in the description, and don't mind this weird cursor. It might be a little confusing by now, but it's actually really weird. Well, that was my very first tutorial in 2 months. I'm really sorry to keep you guys waiting for so long, and I really hope you understand. I'll be back with more tutorials from now on, as I don't have any school anytime soon, within the next 3 years or so, there's no excuse for me not to make any tutorials. So I want to thank you 1,000 times for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys later.